Hey fam, it's your boy PopPop. I'm on camera too, so that's why the picture is a little darker. So I'm on the older camera, and I'm just having a bagel with some cream cheese. I had my coffee earlier, and I had really bizarre dreams last night, very intense dreams. I had to turn the air conditioning lower because my dreams were so intense last night. It's making me run warmer during my sleep cycle. So I do like my dad. I don't do the whole bagel with cream cheese. I just kind of dab it. One of these advice videos says that God wants us alone so that he can, speak to our spirit. And I'm kind of grieving a little bit ever since Man Raj decided to mess me over. I knew he had that potential because the way I had seen him treat other people. But for a long time, I always seemed to have an immunity. I know, like when we played cards, I would always have to let him win because the man got an ego. And the other people around here, they don't really like him. They just tolerate him, because he's a manager. And the big boss tolerates him because he puts in a lot of hours. The thing I don't understand is that I had been a very good friend to him, a very generous friend, to show my appreciation for errands and stuff that he had run for me. Um, it seemed to give him a joy to mess me over. And that's the part I really don't understand. Is that why mean people get off on screwing over other people? Like I said, I always knew he had that capacity because one time when I went over to their apartment, he had his wife sweep the floor. And I was like, really? You're going to have your wife sweep the floor when you have company? And he makes her use his broom that looks like it's out of Bible days. And it's not an American broom that's got a handle where you can stand up and sweep the floor. It's something that looks like it came from the Middle East centuries ago, where his wife's got to get down on all fours and sweep the floor on her hands and knees with this brush. And so I said to myself, for some reason, it's important for him to show me for some reason it's important for him to show me that he subjugates his wife, and that he'll do that right in front of a stranger. Because at the time we hadn't known each other for that long. But like I said, I always wondered in the back of my mind why nobody really likes the guy. And the other thing that he does that I find curious, and I've known a lot of Indian men, and I know of at least one man that's bisexual, but none of them admit to it. Man Raj every month goes out to the movie theater and he sits in the dark with another guy and watches movies. And I know culturally, like in the Middle East, that the men hang with the men and the women hang with the women, you know, because that's supposed to keep them morally pure. But I don't think that's the case here. I think when you got a guy sitting in a movie theater, especially a grown man, sitting in a movie theater with another grown guy playing Pass the Popcorn, you know, something about that seemed a little bit squirrely. Not that not that it matters to me, but I'm saying at least if you're going to do that, don't be so critical of other people, you know, saying that other people got issues, you know. And the thing is that really surprised me and disappointed me is how he sided He sided with the guy who paralyzed me. He sided with Gennaro uh, because after Gennaro came by last year and scared the bejeepers out of me by knocking on my door, and here I am in a wheelchair, and he said, "Do you remember me?" I said, "Yeah, I remember you. I have to live every day with what you did to me after you karate chopped me in the spine, you know, and now I gotta wear a diaper like a 2-year-old toddler because of you." And I told him, I said, "Next time you knock on my door, my roommates Smith and Wesson gonna answer the door. So don't come by a third time." So Raj wasn't good with that. He's like, you know, I'm like, "Look, man, the guy punched me in the spine. I never called the police. I'm not the one who got him fired from his job here. He did that to himself by smoking dope on the job and with his nasty attitude. He was super arrogant and narcissistic and every other thing. And then on top of it, he says, well, he doesn't like gringos. And on top of that, he slandered me with the staff here, so that for a long time I got the cold shoulder, and things have never been the same between me and the staff. And yet I was merciful to him. I didn't call the police or do anything because they call it the knockdown game, where you knock down an old person with one blow. That's the object of the game. And a lot of victims have died from it. You know, the only thing that saved me, other than the good Lord himself, was the fact that when Gennaro knocked me down, I was in front of the candy machine out front. And as I went down, I grabbed the tray. I grabbed the tray of the candy machine, and my head almost went through the glass. And the general manager, who was at the front desk at the time, he didn't even come out to see if I was okay or anything. He heard all the screaming and everything. Because, oh my God, did it hurt. And I was screaming. I was screaming like an old woman, man. Ah! You know. And then by morning time, it was a done deal where, all I got from here on down was what I call a busy signal. And then it became quite apparent that I would have to wear a diaper from that point on without going into it. So, and in subsequent visits, to the hospital and all, they pretty much told me that it's a done deal. But I have faith enough to believe that someday I'll walk again. I have faith enough to believe to receive that. And I know that the harder the trial, when you finally get answered prayer, the more glory God gets out of it. So that's why I have faith. And I know that in the light of eternity, the trial won't follow me into eternity. So that's the only other reason that I can keep my sanity. When people all around me are losing theirs. So, but I've just decided at this point not to subjugate myself by asking Raj for anything else. I'll go back to the way I did it in Baltimore, which is to sit in my wheelchair and just tell God what I need. When I was in South Baltimore years ago, I didn't have 2 dimes to rub together. And I told God, I said, I need some groceries, please. And I prayed out loud. I don't believe in silent prayer. The word says Jesus spoke, Jesus spoke, Jesus spoke. So I don't believe in silent prayer. But I prayed quietly enough. I know my neighbors didn't hear it. But long story short, 20 minutes later, there was a knock at the door and 3 paper bags of groceries at the door. So if it was God, God is an environmentalist because it was paper bags. And it was almost everything that I had asked for. So that's where the faith comes in, because since it wasn't everything, it requires a step of faith to believe that God had answered my prayer and gave me what I needed instead of everything that I wanted. Pop out.